Hey, good to see you again. The factory sent over the parts that were looking good on the rig. They're being fitted as we speak. Have a look at the report.
What's going on, guys? Aarava here, and welcome back to another episode of my F1 2017 career mode. We're back with episode number 8 today for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, or Baku, as I will probably keep referring to as. And we're going to kick things off with a new part fitted for the engine power. Remember, our very first powertrain upgrade we've done to that side of the R&D tree. So thankfully, we can kind of start to maybe make up some deficit on that Renault engine in the back of our Toro car. Obviously, in previous episodes when we've looked at it, we've always been like the third worst, I think, in the actual pecking order for the actual powertrain. So hopefully that will add a little boost to our weekend. Obviously, with Baku having many long straights, that will hopefully come into handy. And you can see now we've got a third core competency progress there on the upgrade speed. So our upgrade time will be sped up a little bit. So slowly and slowly we're getting a lot of these core competencies, and hopefully soon enough we'll be getting that fourth one there. We'll have all level 1s there on the core competency. But guys, the support you guys have shown for the last 2 episodes yesterday were absolutely insane on Canada and obviously Monaco. So I just wanted to say thank you guys so much for that, and I really hope you guys are continuing to enjoy the career mode. Let's get straight into practice for Baku.
Welcome to the Baku City Circuit, where free practice for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix is about to get underway. This is a technical circuit which will nonetheless see some huge speeds with a near flat-out final sector that's twice the length of Shanghai's back straight. Let's see who can find the right balance in their setup today. Now then, Anthony Davidson, there's been a lot of talk over the last few weeks about track limits. How much is too much when you're cutting corners and running wide? What are your thoughts on this? And do you think we'll be seeing drivers pushing those limits this weekend?
Well, I'd be disappointed if we didn't, frankly. If race control want to clamp down on drivers wandering off the track, then it's up to them to police it. As a driver, you're being paid to get your car around the circuit as quickly as possible, don't forget. So if you're not pushing those limits, if you're ignoring the advantageous line, then you're not doing your job properly. Now, I agree that, we have these white lines there for a reason, and we do want to see those limits enforced, but for me, it's not a driver's responsibility to do that.
Right, so on to practicing for Baku, and probably a lot of practice is needed around here because it's obviously, if you've been around on the channel before, it's not anything kind of hidden that it's not my favourite circuit in the world. I generally don't like driving it. Obviously, it was a great Grand Prix in real life in 2017, but the circuit itself is still just a little bit meh for me to drive. But anyway, we get through track acclimatization all fine and dandy with all purple, which I was actually frankly a little bit surprised about. Generally, I just can't spot most of the braking zones here because I'm a little bit blind like that. It just kind of blurs all into one. But then we had a bit of an issue there for the tyre wear test, and we actually just didn't do the tyre wear test. Very difficult to actually do that, in my opinion. And then in the fuel saving, we were able to do that very cheekily and easily here, because just lifting off across the line. So I do recommend that if you're struggling maybe at any circuit, really, not just for Baku, any circuit, if you have enough delta time for the tyre fuel saving lap, just lift off and just coast across the line, and that will get you into the purple very easily. So after that, from FP1, we're able to get enough points, and I decided we're going to plow on basically with the upgrades to our powertrain, and we're going to actually purchase this second one fuel injection system there. So that will open us up now to the tree a little bit more. We can either go straight on, or we can actually go down and further into that engine branch, and so hopefully that will help us out for the next few rounds as well. But you can see, this is what I was talking about at the very beginning of the episode, the internal combustion engine already getting a little bit worn on that second one. So we're going to definitely have to look at that a little bit and manage that. But then eventually in FP2 then, as the sun comes down, we did eventually do the qualifying target. You can see the target's 17th place. So yeah, I'm not looking too great actually for qualifying, and maybe the race if that's the best we can do for 17th place. But we're just going to have to see how we do. But it may be quite a tough weekend ahead.
The circuit has rubbed in with practice, but this is still going to be a difficult session for our drivers as they fight for pole position. Welcome to qualifying here in Azerbaijan. And I'm here, of course, with Anthony Davidson on what has turned out to be a very pleasant day indeed. No weather to interfere, no problems on the track, so absolutely no room for error.
That's right, Crofty. It's looking good out there at the moment. Each team will have their own game plan for this session, and of course, once the cars leave the garage, they'll be under parc fermé conditions, so any last-minute adjustments need to be done right here and now. Beyond that, it's all up to the driver. Who can keep their tyres in the right temperature? Who can hit their apexes? No race fuel on board these days, of course. These are the fastest cars we've had in a long time, and it's right here in qualifying where they're at their absolute peak. Let's get started.
So we're going to dive straight into our first flying lap then. I kind of agree with Crofty at the beginning of that little cutscene there. It is going to be a difficult afternoon, at least for us, as we go into turn 1, and we took it very, very cautiously. You may have seen under braking in a straight line, kind of waited for the car to kind of slow down, then kind of turned in and didn't try to trail brake at all into turn 1, taking it very cautiously, and that meant this first lap kind of set us up to not be a great one. We crossed the line and we're just ahead of Ericsson, behind Kevin Magnussen at the moment, and then we go on to a second set of super soft tyres. This time round, a little bit more aggressive into turn 1. You can see actually trying to trail brake a little bit into the apex, using the curbing a little bit on the inside. We already gained a bit of time there, you can see on the delta time, and then to the next corner as well, using a bit more curbing there just across as the sun peaks over, blinding me to some of these corners. Like, look at that. That is, I mean, it's a beautiful shot, but yeah, a little bit blinding and disconcerting as you go into the castle section. But we gain a bit more time through the castle section, going over the curbing. The castle one's a bit of a tricky one because with the 2017 cars so wide, you almost have to kind of just go over the entire curbing, where there's no really real way you can make it through that entire corner unless you're going at snail's pace, going through the white lines. But we crossed the line, and it's only 16th place. Our target was 17th, so I mean, we got the target at least from what practice was. We haven't actually got the target of what our team wanted. I believe our team wanted 14th place or 13th. Carlos has got that in 13th. But yeah, we've just been outdone. I just am not finding the circuit very nice at the moment. But the bigger news really is that Felipe Massa is on pole position. I have no idea he's done that, but yeah, the Brazilian is on pole. Right, this should be quite an interesting race then. Let's get into it.
So before the off, let's remind ourselves of yesterday's qualifying session with a look at the starting grid. Felipe Massa will start on pole thanks to a superb effort in qualifying yesterday. And it's Lewis Hamilton alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Stroll, Verstappen, Kimi Raikkonen and Ricciardo, Vettel, Bottas, Grosjean and Kevin Magnussen, Hülkenberg, Palmer, Carlos Sainz and Perez, Ocon and a Toro Rosso, Marcus Ericsson and Pascal Wehrlein. Van Dorn and Fernando Alonso starts from the back of the grid. And with preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track.
Right, so jumping into the race, just before we get to the race strategy, I just want to point out there was no race cutscene there. Crofty just jumped straight into the grid. I don't know if that was a little bug, but I just only noticed that looking back at the video in the editing. For some reason, it just went straight to the grid. There we go. Anyway, for the race strategy, you can clearly see it's going to be intermediate, unlucky, or maybe luckily, the entire race. So it's going to be a one-stop for 2 sets of inters. I'm not too sure how this is going to go, but we're from P16, so at least it may be something in the opening few laps for us as we go to 5 red lights for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. We're underway there very gingerly in first and up into second gear, climbing the gears now up into turn 1. Can we try and send it down the inside of both the Force Indy cars as they go side by side? Our teammate Sainz tries to have a look around the outside of Palmer, gets squeezed out there. Unfortunately for him, it looks like we're going to try and overtake both Renault cars actually down the inside. I was about to say both Force Indies, but also both Renault cars perhaps, although we go a little bit sideways, getting the tank slapper out, and Hülkenberg gets it back past us, but we have overtaken Palmer there, our fellow Brit. So now can we try and slipstream Hülkenberg down the around the outside? This will actually be, but it will eventually turn to the inside for the next right-hander as we go through the left, and then we'll have the inside line. We don't even need to get to the brake zone before we mug Hülkenberg off on the traction there. So we're up into P11. So it's been a very, very good start. So far, actually a lucky thing that is intermediate at the moment at Baku. I was kind of dreading after I saw the weather indicator. I was kind of crawling back into my seat, almost kind of fearing the worst really, but at the moment it's going okay. But now as we move on towards the end of lap 1 onto the beginning of lap 2, as Massa sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. So at the moment he's still leading the way as he would have crossed the line first, so he hasn't bottled it off his quite spectacular pole position. You can see we have had to go a little bit defensive on Nico Hülkenberg. We moved to the left hand side. He was trying his best to move to the left, but I was having none of it, so I just kept on moving left, then obviously made my one switchback move to the actual racing line to take the brake zone. So far okay. And as we move through sector 2, catching up to Magnussen quite a bit here in the sector, but there's a car. Oh wow, it's Massa. Oh, Massa's off. Massa's had a mechanical failure. I think that was him going very, very slowly. Not sure if he's made any contact or if it was maybe a puncher like we saw Palmer have in Canada, going very slow down a straight. But that's Massa off what I would assume is the race lead, is now out of this Grand Prix, or at least way down the order, because it's still P20. It's still 10 out of 20 cars there on the top left, but he's going very, very slowly now. You can see still on the mini-map there is the yellow sectors for his car. car. So poor after literally a fantastic, mind-boggling pole position on Saturday, and still leading the race at the end of lap 1. He's out of this Grand Prix, unfortunately for him. So now we are concentrating back on us, though. As I was mentioning, we were catching up to Magnussen quite a bit through the castle section, and now he's going to try and overtake his teammate Romain Grosjean as the two Renaults nearly go side by side there. Palmer trying to overtake Hulkenberg. We're trying to suss out if we can maybe make a move on these Haas cars as Magnussen sends it down the inside of Grosjean. They go neck and neck, but can we try and just maybe feed our way through, catch one of them napping? You can see I kind of go a little bit wide to take a tighter exit line, and you can see there Magnussen's being forced out a little bit by Grosjean. A little bit of contact was made there, I think, between the two teammates. So now we'll try and cruise up past him on the right-hand side. We actually get a good tow on Grosjean, so for a minute there, I think about making a move here down the inside, but Grosjean just closes the door on me, and we have to just settle for P9 for now. But so far, so good, making good progress into the top 10 and in the points, obviously. But we're going to take a look at a replay now of what happened to Massa. So he was actually P2 by this point. Lewis Hamilton has overtaken him at this stage of the lap into the castle section, and then through here you can see, just as we come over the crest, you can see he moves to the right, and this is his car starting to fail. And then as we move through to the next corner, Stroll's past him, and Stroll's actually in third place there, so, and into second effectively now. So Lance Stroll doing amazing, though, for the team still to be in second place in that other Williams car. But there you go, Massa just trundling along, and then there is us going through past him there. So very, very unfortunate for Felipe Massa. Both Williams cars going so well at Baku. I mean, obviously they've gone so well in the season so far, which is obviously something that's been a bit of a contentious moment for some of you guys in the comments below. Obviously Williams aren't that good in the real life season at the moment. Obviously, though, the performances, as we mentioned in previous videos in the preview to this game, the performances here you're seeing at the moment will be based off Australia. There will be a patch at some later point to maybe correct those, so that's why Williams is looking to be very good. Although if you do look at the standings, Force India is still ahead of Williams in this career mode I'm doing, so actually in the end it kind of works out realistic anyway. But anyway, we move on now to lap 3. We're right up the back, literally touching Grosjean's gearbox. We tried to go down the inside, a little bit of contact made there as I do lift off to try and give Grosjean the room, but that corner is so awkward and so high speed that we both banged tyres there, and we tried to make the move, wasn't possible. But later into that same lap, as we move on to the next one, which will be lap 4 effectively, we can see the two Ferrari cars are battling away, and also the Red Bull car of, I believe that's Daniel Ricciardo's. Now this is Kimi Raikkonen, I think, trying to send it down the inside, or actually maybe Vettel. No, it is Vettel trying to send it down the inside of Raikkonen. So far Raikkonen has had the measure of Vettel in this Grand Prix. You can see just in the background there is us chasing down the Haas car, but there goes Vettel, sends it down the inside of Raikkonen. Bit of contact, and the hand of anger goes up with Raikkonen, and I think there's been a bit of contact into the wall there for Raikkonen. I think he has just lost a bit of his end plate there, Kimi Raikkonen on the right hand side. I do think that is the case. So now Ricciardo tries to slipstream Raikkonen, tries to overtake Sebastian Vettel, and tries to go around the outside, but Vettel sent it back down the inside. You can see Raikkonen really struggling now, going very wide there, so he definitely does have some damage. So I think he may be that may be an early pit stop for Raikkonen in this Grand Prix, as we send it down the inside of Grosjean now, as he's been caught napping behind Daniel Ricciardo. And so a little bit of a changeable mix up there, and so the top runners actually aid me to overtake the Haas car there. And so now we can try and catch up to Ricciardo actually quite spectacularly, because he's getting held up now behind Raikkonen, because Raikkonen can't go through these corners fast enough now due to that damage. I definitely do think he'll be coming into the pit stops for an extra pit stop this afternoon. So unfortunately Kimi may have to be forced into maybe a 2 or even a 3 stop here, depending on what the top runners would do eventually. But you can see, look how much time we've gained in the S section there, as Ricciardo has to ease off and lift off there for Raikkonen, who just doesn't have the downforce. A little bit of contact made there. We go hammer and tong, elbows out a little bit, trying to overtake. Look at that, it's 3 wide momentarily there, but the Haas car backs off quite spectacularly. That's a little bit unfortunate from the AI car. He didn't keep it 3 wide, but Ricciardo mugs us off into turn 1, gets it cleanly round the outside. We just don't, we're just way too cautious in turn 1 there, and so we keep P7 for now as we move on to lap 7. And once again Grosjean maybe looks to overtake me, and this time around I'm the one going slowly in the S section. You can see having to lift off and go opposite lock momentarily for a split second to just make sure the car stays in a straight line on lap 7. As we go on to lap 8, you can see, look at the toe Grosjean's got. I'm trying to break it as best I can on the left hand side, but he's having none of it, and he's going to have the speed. He goes round on the right hand side. He's going to make the move cleanly around the outside, just like Ricciardo. We're going to try our best. We go so close with our front right tyre to his left front, and we just managed to squeeze him out a little bit, you know, frosty, a little bit aggressive, but we need to be, because we can't just let him just fly past us into the first turn like we did with Ricciardo. I mean, obviously Ricciardo has the downforce for it. The Haas car is pretty similar to the Toro Rosso, but into the next section we go very, very deep and almost hit the wall. We have to lift off quite a bit into the brake zone, try and fight back on Grosjean, but I think it may be inevitable. Now Grosjean will have the inside line for the upcoming left-hander, so we try our best to stick around the outside, but into the brake zone, Magnussen, sorry, not even Grosjean, Magnussen completely has me. He's got me, so we have to move down to 8th place. You can see getting a bit of a tank slap on the exit, and unfortunately that's just another place lost there. So we move on to lap 10 now. You can see 19 runners in this Grand Prix. A car parked up on the right, so I'm not too sure which car that is. It looked like another Williams car, so I think that may have been, unfortunately for the Williams team, Lance Stroll, but the yellow flags put me off so much I went off circuit a little bit, and just a lack of grip there as the tyres start to go away for me quite a bit. You can see, again, just having to be a bit kind of, it looks like I'm skating on ice basically through the S section. You can see the rear tyres, 58% and 62 on the right rear, not looking good. And now, not a fantastic moment for me. Jolyon Palmer is trying to overtake me now in a straight line. The Renault car, obviously the same Renault engine as the back on my one, but maybe they have a few upgrades to their engine compared to me. And Palmer tried to go around the outside, once again trying to squeeze him out, does successfully squeeze him out for now, but at the moment struggling now for grip and pace as Magnussen, you can see, is far and away now from us after he overtook us there. You can see just went past us on that replay camera shot. So just not looking good. Looks like after a brilliant start, we're just falling back and back and back. And now you can see Palmer has cleanly overtaken me. And now Hulkenberg may try and shoot one down the inside. We get a little bit jammed with Palmer there into the brake zone. And now Hulkenberg tries his best to maintain this position. He's trying to get off us. We go down the inside just like we did to Magnussen this time, though a bit more successful to defend that position. And for now, we maintain the kind of Renault sandwich we're in, or I guess Toro Rosso sandwich as we're in the middle. And now by lap 12, it's time to come into the pits. I need to come into the pits because the tyres are just wearing out way too much. Although I do think it's just my general pace around Baku, I also do think the tyres wearing out a little bit on the rears too much was also affecting my my pace there. But yeah, tough one. The AI are very, very good around Baku, very, very optimized, and obviously it's a circuit that, at least for me, I'm not too familiar with still. No matter how many kind of races or kind of qualifying laps or practice laps I do around it, I can just never gel with it too much. I just find it very, very awkward. So generally, if you look back through any of the previous races I've done around Baku, I'm generally not that great compared to AI. I guess it's a good thing, gives us a bit of a challenge one-off. Kind of compared to maybe other races where we feel kind of totally comfortable trying to run in low points. This time I'm struggling quite a bit to even get to the low points, and we may even find ourselves out of the points like we did at Bahrain if things don't go and improve a little bit more. As we come out of the pits though, we are going to try and overtake a car pretty damn easy. Probably the only car I can overtake very easily this afternoon is Pascal Wehrlein on lap 13 down the inside of him. And now the next man up the road is Carlos Sainz. So I think Sainz has already made one pit stop this afternoon. I have a feeling he's on a 2-stop. If he's not, that's a little bit worrying. We move on to lap 16 then. We overtake one car here in the pit, which is going to be, I think, Nico Hulkenberg. That is on the top left. But you see Raikkonen's name popped up momentarily there. So Raikkonen is doing a 3-stop, I think, or at least a 2-stop. And he's got to make his way back up the order in this afternoon. But now we have yellow flags for a car that's off once again in that section. This time I'm not too sure who it was, unfortunately, but we're 18 runners now. You can see we're trying to close up now on Palmer, who will eventually make his pit stop now, and the same as Carlos Sainz. So now as we go through into turn 1, we're up into P8. Palmer is P7. He's already made his pit stop now, I believe, on lap 17, but we're at least past Sainz, and he is making that 2-stop. So thankfully for us, we're not being beaten by a teammate yet. I say yet because Sainz had some great pace on that second set of inters, and now he's on a third set, so we'll see. But now we move on later into the Grand Prix, now watching Kimi Raikkonen, as I mentioned, who's made that extra stop that he didn't want to make. He's now trying to get his way through these cars. He's catching up to the Haas car and Renault car of Hulkenberg, and I think it's Romain Grosjean. So as Grosjean tries to overtake Hulkenberg, Raikkonen's going to try and make it 3 wide and make it a double overtake, and he actually does so down the inside quite brilliantly there for the Finn, down the inside of the Renault and then the Haas car, but the Haas car has overtaken the Renault, and so Raikkonen up the order now. So I believe the next car along for Raikkonen is me, and you can see in the background there Carlos Sainz going around the outside of one of the Force Indy cars of Sergio Perez, and just down the road here on the same lap there is here we are on lap 21, just down the road from that little overtake that Sainz just made. So this is all bubbling away with 5 laps to go to maybe be an interesting ending as we move on to lap 24 now. Raikkonen, you can see, is closing up on us in the mirrors and also the proximity arrow, although a good thing for us is we actually have saved so much fuel in this Grand Prix that I can run rich mix in this entire kind of end of the lap basically, and actually the Ferrari car, for some reason compared to my Toro Rosso, doesn't seem to actually have the complete grip. You can see as I look behind me, I leave Raikkonen for dust in a straight line there through the S section, but you can see on the fuel gauge we've saved so much fuel. And I was wondering, the default engineering strategy had me on minus 1.5 laps of fuel starting the race, and I bumped that all the way to, no, I want to start with some extra fuel. I now understand why my engineer wanted me to start with 1.5 laps of less fuel than I needed to, because the amount of fuel I've saved in this Grand Prix has just been ridiculous. Obviously, with intermediate conditions, I've been short shifting to try and help the traction, but yeah, just generally, it looks like Baku actually very, very good for the fuel saving conservation. But now, you can see we moved on to the last lap of the Grand Prix. This is actually Carlos Sainz overtaking Kimi Raikkonen. You saw initially he overtook the Haas car, and now onto the last lap, he's actually managed to catch Raikkonen, and he's going to pass Raikkonen here round the outside. Somehow, out of nowhere, Sainz has come alive in this Grand Prix. He was nowhere really in this Grand Prix, but he's found his way through. He's overtaken so many cars throughout this entire Grand Prix. We saw him already overtake the Force India around the outside quite beautifully into Sector 1. Overtook the Haas car previously, and now he's overtaken the Ferrari car. He's overtaken Kimi Raikkonen, Sainz. He's done absolutely bonkers stuff there. His car's come alive now, and he's looking like to maybe even try and close up to me, although we're on the last lap, so thankfully I don't think he will be overtaking us. But as we come through the last few corners now, at what has been a very kind of head-scratcher Baku Azerbaijan Grand Prix. I did mention earlier, I was literally talking about earlier, struggling quite a bit. If you think about it now, we're coming P7, Sainz in P8. In the end of it, even though after all the struggles in qualifying and maybe in the middle part of the race, after all of that, actually it's going to look like we're going to come home in a very kind of realistic kind of position where we've been all season, really. We've come 7th and 8th or 9th many times so far in this season so far. So really, actually, it's actually worked out pretty damn well. The car's actually worked pretty okay. I mean, it felt pretty horrible in the middle of that race, but all in all, it's worked out. A pretty successful Grand Prix, I would say. 7th and 8th, double points finish once again. I think 3rd time on the trot, that is. Double points finish for the Toro Rosso boys. Yeah, very, very good Grand Prix, actually. Quite enjoy that one.
A great win then for the Mercedes team today. Anthony, what do you think made the difference here?
It's a heroic effort for any driver to race in conditions like these, and seeing them fight their way to the front was very special indeed. They were able to find all the grip, all the good lines, and had the confidence to get on the power to top it all off. That's what pushed them into first place here today.
So as I say that, we can see the drivers coming out now to collect their trophies. It's yet more silverware to take back to their base in Brackley after another excellent Grand Prix.
So as we move on to the race results, you can see quite brilliantly and weirdly, Kevin Magnussen has managed to get 4th place, Jolyon Palmer in 5th. What a bonkers Azerbaijan Grand Prix that actually turned out to be. Not only for us and Sainz making an overtake on Kimi Raikkonen, at some point Palmer and Magnussen managed to jump Vettel in pit stop phases, I guess, and managed to stay ahead of Vettel, which is crazy. And so, in the Drivers' Championship, Lewis Hamilton has a bit of a commanding lead now to Bottas. We stay put in 8th place there. Carlos would have jumped up if not for Magnussen Palmer scoring much higher than him today. But as a team for Toro Rosso, as I mentioned, another double points on the trot. We jump ahead of Williams, which is great to see once again. Obviously, Williams got us back after the bit of a poor race we had at the end of the Canadian Grand Prix last time out, but we've jumped them back again after the 3rd double point. So yeah, what can I say? Just again, really solid. I'm really enjoying where we are as a team now, as Sainz has finally managed to start pulling his weight a little bit in the team, and at least is scoring some sort of points. You can see at the moment, quite interestingly, we're actually drawing level with Esteban Ocon on the rivalry for now.
So the board and I have been talking about your contract. And we all agree, the only thing better than a number 2 driver is a number 1 driver. Here are the details.
And so now to add to the all positive news, really, at the end of that Grand Prix, we've now been offered the kind of a position of first driver in the team. So team promotion there, awesome to see there for us. So we've become the #1 driver in Toro. So I did mention in the very first episode, you know, within the first minute, that I was going to try and change that as quick as possible. We started as a second driver, and so here we go. We can now get some R&D bonus points at the end of each race weekend for being the first driver, which should help the development of the car, especially, obviously, as we try and get back above Renault in the kind of official performance standings, although I do feel like our car is a little bit better than the Renault car at this stage. I don't think the graphics are completely accurate in my opinion. But anyway, guys, if you have enjoyed that episode, smash that like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're new around here, then do get subscribed for weekly F1 content. I've been Ever. Hope you enjoy the rest of your days, and I'll see you guys next time.